topic which I am going to cover is about the introductory part to social policy. That is, when we talk about the introduction, that is the introduction to social policy. It is about what will you learn from this course, and in the first lecture, what are the learning objectives related to the policy part of it. That is how policies are being made, what is the significance and relevance of the policy making system, what are the characteristics, goals. You'll get to know a historical background of the policy, how it had emerged, the evolution of policy, the difference between social policy and public policies. Now, if I talk about policy making system, or rather why policies are important, what is the need, what is the significance of policy. Ours is a welfare state, particularly if we talk about India. It's a developing country, it is a welfare state, and we have this idea of welfare state where the state has to be obliged to provide the welfare safety nets to the larger population, be it the marginalized section, be it the underprivileged. So the need of policy arises because it addresses various social concerns, social issues. It aligns with the government's, the government tries to align with the needs and desires, demands, the expectations of the public, the people at large. It tries to promote social equality. It creates social equity. It tries to bring about a balances, reducing any imbalances, and it promotes social welfare. It provides a support system for the marginalized group. When we talk about the need for policy, particularly if we look into the need, there are certain points. That is, first of all, addressing societal issues. Now, there are a huge number of societal issues, starting from education, health, housing, or rather affordable housing, environmental depletion, environmental, need to control, need to protect or preserve environment, employment opportunities, healthcare system, infrastructure development. There are a lot of host of issues, tackling poverty, trying to eliminate any kind of discrimination which would be affecting the society at large. Secondly, it promotes public welfare. Now, public welfare is a concern which is largely rested upon the shoulders of the government. Although the government functions through an institutions, and whatever policies, what the mechanisms of policies are made through institutions. So public welfare, it is about when, if you, in order to bring about a smooth functioning of the government, in order to create a balance, to reduces inequality. So it is very important that people are being protected, they are being safeguarded, their vested interests are looked into, their needs, their desires and expectations are taken care of. And so it overall it brings about the concept, the idea of welfare as well as well-being. Thirdly, it fosters economic growth. When we talk about policies, it is just not about social policies as we move ahead. It is also about economic policies, it is also about health policies, it is also about education policies. But nevertheless, initially, it initiates economic growth, whereby people are giving, the people are given larger opportunities. It is when we had initiated the first 5-year plans, when India had achieved independence, and during the first 5-year plans, the first few plans, the first 3, 4, 5-year plans, it targeted on economic growth. It focused on agricultural development, and it was being considered that economic growth, economic development was of utmost importance, as along with social aspect. So economic enhancements were there by creating employment opportunities, by strengthening our industries, bringing about establishment of new industries, as well as looking into the agrarian aspect. Thirdly, ensure social justice. When we talk about ensuring social justice, policies are important in creating a balance. When we talk about justice, we talk about creating equity and equitable resources. It talks about the fair means of treatment under the eyes of law. As we all know that nobody is above law, and especially the judgments, the legislations, the enactments which has been passed, which are being framed by the government, it ensures that justice is being maintained. When we talk about justice, that is, you need to be fair, you need to be transparent, you need to be you create a balance where everybody has been given an opportunity to ensure that that justice is being done, because whatever laws, legislations, rules are being framed in the society, they are for all the citizens, and every citizen has to conform to it. They have to abide those rules and equality, those rules and regulations. So in a way we say that social justice, it is important. It creates social justice, it ensures that justice is being meted out and everybody is being treated in a fair manner. Next, enhances government governance and democracy. Now, when we say policies tend to bring about governance and democracy, ours is a democratic nation. And when we say it is a democracy, it means that everybody has a right to exercise, everybody has a have that kind of freedom, that kind of liberty, as in the name of, as being said by Amartya Sen, that freedom of choice is there. So democratic nations give that freedom, that ability, that choices of opportunities of exercising your rights, which has been enshrined in the constitution, which has been enshrined in which has been given through fundamental rights as well as directive principles of state policy. So it ensures that democracy is being maintained. When we have that adult franchise, when we have the right to vote, we are electing our own people. So the policy states that in a democratic nation where everybody has been given the opportunity, the abilities, or rather if we say that people have large number of options available to them, and you are free to exercise those rights, and violation of any of those rights, particularly the fundamental rights, it is justiciable in the court. So it maintains democracy because you have the entitlement, you have the privilege to vote, to elect a leader who would look after your welfare needs. Policy also talks about governance. Now, when we say that governance, if we talk about various aspect of governance, whether it's a state government, whether it's a central government, or whether it's the governance at the grassroots level, that is the Panchayati Raj system, or the villages, which the village community where there is a system of, there's a hierarchy maintained starting from the very basic, that is the micro level, the meso level, at the macro level, where the village, the state, as well as the country at the larger front, they all function. Now, when we talk about the governance, of course, policies are government instruments, and through through the government intervention, and because of government's involvement, the policies are being monitored, they are being implemented, they are being formulated, and they are being evaluated. So when we talk about governance, it ensures that what type of governance is there, and it talks about that how this governance, it being fair, talking about the secular principles, talking about communal harmony, talking about creating being something very smoothly functioning in the society. So it says that whether it's in democracy and governance, it goes together, and how the state, how the center is obliged, how the government is obliged to run the nation. Now, when you talk about running the nation, running a whole gamut of institutions through which policies are being implemented, it is a bureaucratic system. When you talk about the governance, it is also the bureaucratic system through which policies are being formulated and are being implemented. Next is managing complexities. Ours, if you talk about India, particularly India is a subcontinent where you have diverse population, people coming from various backgrounds, and there are a lot of complexities, there are a lot of cultural, societal, cultural issues, linguistically also, people are different. So being a diverse population, there is a whole gamut of complexities arising from the socio-cultural aspects of different sections, from north to south, from east to west. You have different cultural patterns So it becomes very important that the policies look into these complexities. What kind of policies are being framed? Which is the what is the target population? What are the most pressing needs and demands of the people? Keeping intact the cultural vulnerabilities, keeping intact the socio-political nature of a country, it is very important that how would you manage these complexities, and how would you cater to the needs of all the diverse population within a nation. Secondly, it promotes long-term sustainability. Policies are made, but not with the notion of being rigid. They are flexible and they change with time to time. It is what the policies which was there 20 or 30 years before, it would not be applicable looking into the changing scenario, changing socio-political structure of any nation. So it is the goals, the objectives, there are mergers of policies also, there are merger of schemes and programs, but then the broader goals and objectives remains or are being framed for a long-term sustainability. Whenever a policy comes to a flow, that at least maximum or minimum 10 to 15 years, we understand how it is going to function, what would be the pros and cons, what if it is a success, it would be replicated in other parts. If it's a failure, it could be looked into that what are the reasons, what are the factors which are responsible for this failure. So policy, for that matter, it ensures that it's sustainable, its validity, it talking about its validity and reliability, and it is efficient and effective, so that maximum benefit could be achieved through that policy system. Secondly, effective administration. For the proper mechanism, for the proper implementation and formulation, it is necessary that effective mechanisms are available, because policies are being transferred or they are being implemented through the government functions. There are institutions, whether it's social institutions, whether it's political institutions, whether it is economic institutions. So when these institutions, there's a way of implementing, the policies, there are deliberations, suggestions. So effective mechanism requires proper monitoring, proper supervision, proper implementation, and lastly, proper evaluation of the policy. And lastly, public policy education. When you talk about policy, it not only entails, or it not only talks about the significance of social policies and economic, but then largely it is about the education policy. Now, this is all why policy is required. Now we talk about what is a policy, and then we'll discuss what is a social policy, what is a public policy, and how they are integrated. When we say what is a policy, policy is a set of statement of principles, values, and intent, which outlines the expectations and provide a basis for the consistent decision making process and resource allocation, in the context of a specific issue. So policies are the chief tools of governance for an institution, and policy denotes, or it talks about how it has to be implemented. So in a way, it is elements for guidance of action, what action has to be taken and in which direction. So we can say that policies are authoritative decision, because there is authority, there's a supreme body which ultimately drafts the policies, look into the policy making system, formulate a policy, implement a policy. Secondly, it is the principles or is a course of action, guidelines, or a rule which gives a sense of direction, that in what manner the policy has to be formulated and in which direction it has to move. Thirdly, it is a purposive course of action. When we say it is a purposive course of action, it means that policy has to have certain objectives, goals. There is a framework behind that action, because it is a continuous process of providing welfare means providing maximum benefit to the larger population. It is a course of action where you need to bring about changes in the society, right? When we say changes in the society, these are positive changes. One important aspect of policy making would be bringing about changes, certain desirable changes. So that is what is the current situation and how this current situation would be changed from now to in the future part of it. So it's a course of action where you find prominent changes in the society, bring about a societal change in the society. So it follows a course of action where you need to follow a system, a protocol is there, that in what ways a policy has to be formed. And that, lastly, it is an action of government because it is a government body, and it is through the institutions of governance. Now, if we say there are various ways of defining policy, Peter Self, there are numerous authors, writers, scholars who had given various definitions of policies, which gives a clear demarcation that what policies are. Some of them opines that it is a changing directives, which talks about as the how a task should be done, how it should be interpreted and performed. Here I would like to quote also Sir Geoffrey Vicker. He has said that policies are decisions giving directions, coherence, continuity to the course of action for which the decisions making body is responsible. Now, when we talk about implementation or when we talk about formulation, there are experts, there is a group of people who are at the helm of affairs and who are the decision making body, and through which the policies are being implemented, like economic institutions or political institutions. Carl J. Frederick also regards policy as a proposed course of action of a person or a group or government within a given environmental, providing obstacles and opportunities which the policies was proposed to utilize and overcome in an effort to reach a goal or realize an objective or a purpose. Again, James Anderson also suggested that it is again a purposive course of action which is followed by a set of actors dealing with the problem or a matter of concern. And David Easton also defines policies as output of the political system and public policy as the authoritative allocation of values of the whole society. Now, when we talk about these defining aspects, certain elements comes out of these definition. That is, what is the relevance or what is the importance of social policy? Like, it brings about social welfare, it promotes social welfare, which enhances the quality of life of the individuals, communities and the nation at the larger front. It ensures social justice, bringing about a balance, removing any kind of inequalities, providing a support system to the marginalized group, tackling issues which could result in oppression or discrimination or violent practices. So it ensures social justice. So no discriminatory acts are are taken into. Rather, I would say that no discriminatory acts should be there within the nation, and it talks about improving living conditions. Now, policies are the major part of policy making system is to remove any kind of obstacles to look into the betterment of the society at a larger forum, improving the living conditions. That is, whatever condition is right now, and to enhance their status, to uplift them, to give them that safety net, so that their conditions, what are the present conditions, that has been changed to a better position. So providing accessibility to essential resources, providing accessibility to essential commodities or services like education, healthcare, affordable housing, safe drinking water, employment, generating, minimizing, discriminatory practices, accessibility to opportunities, okay, and then like universal healthcare system is there, which provides services to the marginalized section. Then, if you talk about the evolution of social policy, the period of began with the Industrial Revolution, which was being caused by various social problems in the second half of the 18th century. With trying to seeking solutions to address the poverty and social imbalances. It was through this industrial revolution, of course, the early beginning was deeply rooted in charitable activities and providing relief measures to the poor, to the destitute, to the marginalized. Then came the industrial revolution and the industrialization, seeking, when we talk about industrialization, the social policies tried to make a balance between economy and social aspect. The migrations of to industrialized regions with the impact of industrialization caused new professions, negative life and working conditions, poverty became more significant, right? So there was a marked significant shift with the rise of urbanization and the need for organized social services. This industrial revolution, two classes were formed during the industrial revolution, that was the working class and the ruling class. The ruling class were more of the ones who were oppressing the working class because people had migrated from village communities, the feudal system was being abolished, and they shifted their attention to urban areas, coming in search of better economic opportunities. And with the industrial revolution, although they gave weightage to economic pursuits and economic growth, nevertheless, there was a setback in terms of poverty, or in terms of social and health issues and concerns. People were being exploited. The wage hours, the working hours were extreme. The conditions of the living conditions of the people, especially the working class, it was dilapidated. They did not had any social security measures or social insurance or any kind of safety nets. No regulation of working hours. Healthcare system was not existing at that time. There was rampant poverty throughout. People, they had meager incomes. There were a lot of income disparities also. What a worker putting 10 to 15 or more than 15 hours, he's working more than 15 hours and he's getting a very few, I mean, he was getting a meager employment. So all these, economic, or I would say the understanding, or rather in the face of this democratic structure, adopted, rather a free economy emerged. And as a result of concern that state interventions would damage economic and bring about social imbalances, to have a welfare measure. So this industrial revolution which was there, it marked a significant shift with the rise of urbanization, and it required an organized social services. The 20th century came and there was a need for, or rather the emergence of, welfare state, with the government taking a more active role in providing social welfare and social services to the people. Now in this, when we talk about the idea, with the Keynesian economic approach, it paved the way for a more inclusive, interventions, and adopted a welfare state approach. And it was through this, welfare state approach, it addresses, when you talk about the welfare state approach, it is talking about the welfare of the people. How the people would be benefiting, what the government started taking the center stage. They started looking into the idea of protecting, providing safety nets to the people, safeguarding their interest, and also with this welfare approach, the welfare state, it started looking into what will be the active role of the government, how the government would ensure a safety net, how the government would ensure that it is going to protect and look after the needs and the welfare of the people. Then when the state of welfare state, when the need of welfare state comes, with the notion, with the idea that it is going to look after the desires, the need, the expectations of the people, the basic needs of the people, And welfare state also denotes that how you are going to, within the broader framework of government institutions and mechanisms, how this welfare, which would lead to well-being of the people at the larger platform, improving their living conditions, trying to look into the various aspects of livelihood opportunities, creating livelihood opportunities, as well as trying to bring about a balance in the society, trying to bridge the gap between those who are the advantages and those who are deprived or marginalized population. So through the idea, through the notion of welfare state, the government or the state responsibility was there, and the state was obliged to provide safety nets, safeguarding their interests, providing minimum basic services to the people within a proper formal organizational setup through a proper mechanism. Okay, so with the notion of welfare state, because the policy has its the historical aspect of policy is related with the idea of welfare state, that how, being, India being a mixed economy, where we with Nehru's Fabian socialism, where we had adopted both approaches, that is the capitalist as well as the socialist ideology, and the integration of these two resulted in a mixed economy where the free market was also given center stage. Also, it has the intervention of the government. The government, although had limited control, it tried to, the government involvement and intervention was there in order to regulate market, in order to talk about law, rules, regulations and legislations. Now coming to the concept of social policy. Regarding the usage of the term social policy and social welfare policy in academic literature, sometimes it is used as a social policy, sometimes it is used as social welfare policy. In some parts of the country or in some parts around the globe, it is also used as social welfare administration. Aravic had pointed out that in continental Europe it has been known as social policies, whereas in the Northern American literature it has been referred as social welfare policy. However, social policy as a field of study emerged and developed from the field of social administration. So initially it has started with the idea of social administration, that is the focus of social administration was to prepare personnel in social services. When you talk about social administration, that was a setup, that was a government mechanism where it has where it brings about various experts, various people, various bureau. It actually, the administration part talks about the bureaucratic system, a protocol which has to be followed in the formulation, implementation and monitoring of policy making system. So it was more of an organized social service sector where the government has a larger as a party to ensure the safety, to ensure livelihood opportunities, ensure the protection of the people, and also to create a balance in the society. So policy particularly focused on the administrative, the mechanisms through which policies are implemented, they are being guided, they are being framed, and they are being they are being bring through which they are being implemented. Now, according to Paul Spicker, the social services include five big major services, that is social security measures, housing, health, social work and education, along with the employment, legal services, community safety, community participation, community engagement. As a discipline, social policy has become an extensive field encompassing protection of rights and entitlements of the deprived, of the marginalized population, meeting their social needs, looking into their social expectations, enhancing the life expectancy, safety. It also talks about the safety and dignity of in the workplaces, communities, constitutional safeguards, how the constitutional provides that protecting the people, participation in public spheres. And ever since the evolution of modern governments, there has been a corresponding development in the idea of welfare state and social policy. When we say that, there is a famous British economist, Nicholas Barr. He observes, he states that welfare state is an outcome of diverse forces, which has been actively involved in evolving social policy. So you could see that the evolution, the historical aspect of social policy can be traced back to the notion of social welfare. And like for example, if I say there's a lack of equitable treatment for all people during the pre-independence phase in India, which enabled the founding fathers of our constitution to establish a governance system that could work for the benefit or for the welfare of the people, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, any kind of disabilities, or any occupation. So in a way, the government service, that intends, they have the intentions to improve the quality of the people, life of the people, of the deprived communities, and they can be categorized under social policy. Now, social policy has more broader meaning, if I say the broad sense as well as in the narrow sense. Now, if I talk about understanding social policy, it relates to changing guidelines, maintaining creation of living conditions which should be conducive for the welfare of all, and particularly trying to enhance their current situations. Social policy has also been about the intervention of the socially distributive kind. That is, from the very beginning, it has been said that social policy has a redistributive nature. There's a redistribution in the sense that it tries to distribute the resources from the rich to the poor. So reallocation of resources, distribution of resources is of paramount importance in social policy. There is it also talks about social regulatory body, that is the ground rules which have been made for market economy. There would be a lot of market fluctuations. In order to keep that inflation or price hike, or to stabilize the market economy, there is a regulatory body in the form of economic institutions, where economic policies are being framed. And it also talks about social rights, that is talking about the rights, the duties of the citizens with regard to the accessibility to services and incomes. So it is particularly talking about socially redistributive in nature. It talks about creating a balance, or it's a regulatory body. It also talks about creating, enhancing social rights, where your rights, your duties, your entitlements, your constitutional safeguards are there, which protects the citizen throughout all the time. Social policy also encourages imaginations and flexibility in seeking solutions to social problems. Particularly, social policies are aimed at finding solutions to various societal issues and problems, to look after the individual needs, to look after the well-being. So it is essentially a response to inequality or inequity in a society. Through policies, at least, you try to maintain or try to bridge the gap between those who are at an advantageous position and those who are less advantageous position. And social policy is also an interdisciplinary and applied subject which is concerned to analyze the distribution and delivery of resources in response to your social needs. And lastly, it also refers, the social policy also refers to both the active active participation in policy making to promote well-being, to academic study of such action. Now, there are two aspects of understanding social policy. One is the narrow sense and one is the broader sense. In the narrow sense, it is an attitude, it is an instrument to address disputes, imbalances, any conflicting situations, conflict of interest between employers, employees, and which would tend to ensure harmony between the classes in the capitalist system. In the narrow sense, social policy is also aimed at finding solutions to the problems which would be emerging, which has emerged in the industrial societies, for example, exploitations, poverty, discrimination practice, social injustice. So it through this it tries to remove social inequalities which has been persistent in our society. They policies are making a balance between labor as well as the capital class, and it tries to caters, it encompasses the problems which has been persistent between the working class, the worker, as well as the labor class people. Now, in the broader sense, the concept of social policies means comprehensive practice which address not only the problems of the people, of the segments or the deprived segments of the society, but from this perspective, it talks about possible ways of addressing problems of environment, urbanization, health,